The woman was driving across the railway tracks when her car suddenly stalled. Her seatbelt jammed, refusing to budge. A train thundered toward her, showing no signs of slowing down. She struggled desperately, screaming for help. A construction worker happened to be passing by. Seeing someone trapped inside, he didn't hesitate. He rushed forward. The car door wouldn't open, and the seatbelt was stuck. Without wasting a second, he ran to the back of the car, pressed his hands against the trunk, and pushed with all his strength. The train roared closer. At the very last second, the car was shoved off the tracks. The train brushed past the rear bumper, barely missing it. The woman collapsed into her seat. When she finally gathered herself and looked around, the man was already walking away. The only thing left behind was a work badge lying on the ground. She picked it up and, without hesitation, dialed the number, swearing she would find the man who saved her life. But she didn't know. Back at his dormitory, the man's face was heavy with frustration. He was the crew leader. The workers had pooled their money to buy a TV, hoping to gift it to their employer in exchange for the wages they had been owed for an entire year. But when they finally presented it, the woman barely glanced at them before coldly saying, "We'll talk after the holidays." At that moment, her child tugged at her sleeve, asking for a new toy. Without a second thought, she pulled out a stack of cash, 30,000 in total, and handed it over. The man couldn't hold back anymore. 15,000 in wages, just 5 toys worth. He begged her to settle the payment so the workers could go home for the holidays, but she simply laughed, mocking them for dreaming too big. Then, with a wave of her hand, she had them thrown out. Just then her phone rang. It was her father. He told her that the daughter of the wealthiest man in town was coming for an inspection. She had to make sure everything was perfect. Meanwhile, fate had its own plans. On his way back, the man had saved a woman trapped inside a car. What he didn't know was she was the very woman everyone was scrambling to impress. The next day, the employer suddenly changed her mind. She asked the man to deliver an important document and promised to pay the wages. Overjoyed, he rushed to fulfill the task, only to have her toss him a small bill for a taxi and sneer at his naive trust. She never planned on paying him at all. Furious, the man vowed to report everything when the influential guest arrived. Hearing this, the woman's expression darkened. Without hesitation, she had him dragged out. Just then, a luxury car pulled up. Everyone rushed to greet the guest, only to be informed that the important visitor had canceled at the last minute. The employer sighed in relief, finally free to deal with the man who had dared to challenge her. What she didn't know was that the guest hadn't canceled. She had gone to the construction site, searching for the man who had saved her life. The moment she learned he had been sent to the golf course, she immediately turned her car around. Meanwhile, the man was being cornered, facing humiliation at the hands of his employer. At that critical moment, the influential guest finally arrived.